Let's talk a bit about mindfulness again. So I know I've been repeating myself over and over, but this is like one of the super hacks you can use to improve your own well-being and to find your core, to connect your titan, so to say. And I will show you by drawing a normal distribution, and I will explain you why you might be bored a bit or why you might encounter some troubles believing that this might work, or is this if something for you, etc., etc. So in this session we will do two things. I will explain you a bit of background about mindfulness and how it relates to personality, and then secondly I will show you again a few tricks on how to engage in mindful behavior. Yep, and of course the importance. So let's start with the storyline with a normal distribution. So a little bit of math that you probably had during your high school somewhere. As you know or don't, this is how you can divide 100% in a standard normal distribution. So in general, for example, if you divide a population, this is how they divide it, how you can divide them. These are percentages, by the way. I'm not going to dive into the normal distribution. And what's left is 34%. I guess you can fact check me on this one. So the general population, you could say, would be active a little bit here towards the middle. So 68% of people are a little bit here. Then you got a bit more deviation. So let's take the color green. And then you've got the extremes, the outliers, the special ones, so to say. Special meaning that they deviate from the average in the middle. When I talk about mindfulness, you could say, and personality for that matter, you could say that, let me emphasize a bit. Well, in Buddhism, for example, they say like, okay, you're just being you over here, chopping wood. You are in here in monkey mode, so to say. There's a good meme about it. We will upload it later. And this is where a large chunk of our population is active. So just doing their thing, being unaware, so they are not unaware of who they are, of their life, of their being, etc. Which is, once again, not wrong or right, it is as it is, so to say. And I'm not fully sure if these percentages fully align with reality, but I'm just using this normal distribution to explain a concept over here. What we're doing, why I explain you about personality and why I teach you how to find core values and your desires and your wants and your dreams, etc. That is like climbing this ladder. But you also hear me that once you are here, I'm talking about deconstruction and letting go and all those things. That would be the right down. So that would be an opposite approach. But as you see, although you go down, you're not in the same position as you were when you went up. You've been here, you know how it is to be here. And you could say this is going up is sort of the fight and flight. This would be, for example, you as the multi-billionaire not knowing what the essence of life is or not being happy, and those kinds of examples that you see more often in life. When you move down, you start letting go of your personality. You start moving away from your own desires and start looking towards more. Well, basically you shift from all for one to one for all. Yeah. But the beauty is, and here comes the magic, what you will be doing when you're here is again just chopping wood. Nothing changes in your activity. What changes is you in your state of being. So your state of being is more elevated and even further than the top. You become more aware of your now and your presence. But know this, not many people are in these outlier areas. So in general, population gets stuck in the middle. So if you want to push, if you feel like you're behind, then you know the route. First dig in the core values, desires, and all those elements that we teach you. Find your dreams, so to say. But when you're on the top, you realize that dreams are just a mental construction of your mind. And they're often focused on you as a person. And then you start deconstructing those elements. And then you can still purchase your dreams, you can still chop wood, but then you are aware, so to say. It's the same about the communication technique that you learn, that I taught you in previous videos. You learn about other communication preferences, you become more and more aware, and you adjust to them. When you're fully adjusted to them, you are also disconnecting from your own authentic way of communicating. So when you deconstruct that mode, and you go from aware to let me open up this table. Learning curve, unaware to aware. The 4 stages of competence, you could say. And let's drop them here on the screen. You first move from unconscious and incompetent. You have no idea where you are, who you are, and you have no idea what you're doing. Then you go to conscious incompetence, like, hey, I am aware that I know nothing. Then you become conscious incompetence, so you know who you are, you know where you are, and then you automate it, which means you're letting go of all these constructions, and it becomes like tying your shoelaces or driving a car, automation, which means you can move up and open up more to the moment of now, while your habits and your automations take over. So this is training, this is learning, this can be taught. However, when you're in this blue area, it is very hard to see what it is like to be in these outliers areas. You know how it's like to be here because you've been there, or you see others. It's easier to translate behavior when you are here. However, it's harder to see here, and that's what I mean with trusting the process. In my opinion, what works for me is that I see how others behave, that I feel like, hey, they know more in a certain area, for example, about mindfulness, or that could be a particular skill, hard or soft skill, and then repeat their behavior. So you start to become more like that particular behavior of these other persons that you want to copy. Yeah? So that's part 1. This is how mindfulness relates to building up or digging deeper within and finding your personality, and then eventually, when you found it, deconstruct it. And you are still aware. It's not that it disappears, it's like you can let go. And you can chop wood. Sometimes you go back like, okay, now I need my personality. But then you use it aware. Then you are competent and you are conscious about it. But then often this is like the more automated mode, which makes room for other things. Okay, so back to the slides. This is not just mumbo jumbo spiritual things. This actually connects to your brains as well. So there are multiple neural factors when you're talking about mindfulness. So multiple pathways in your brain, so to say, when we talk about becoming more mindfulness, becoming more conscious, more aware. And for example, this setting in attention, this fight and flight, this is activating the bottom-up approach, your limbic system. So that would be the monkey. If you measure this, you see your limbic system, the back of your brain, light up. Relaxing the body, so the art of letting go, that would be your parasympathetic nervous system. So your rest and digest system, the system that takes care of your heart pumpings, your breathings, all those things that it automatically does. So that would be more the higher mind. Feeling cared about is your social engagement system, also in your brain. Safe as with feeling safer, because when you're here, you are more aligned in the social environment. Your skills are more valued. You are becoming more knowledgeable or scalable, whatsoever. And you will start to feel safer. Your amygdala rises, it brightens up, and all those things. Other three others are, of course, your dopamine behavior, which we discussed, your norepinephrine, as well as your panoramic views, which are over here. You're overseeing the spectrum, the quantum approach, as discussed before. That would be the lateral networks. So absorbing all these benefits eventually are partially building up memories and then letting go of the memories, realizing that memories are just a mental construct. Yeah. So sort of like you over here. And this is all the energy in the cosmos, which also flows through you. This person of you, let's give it a different color. This person of you is filtering the cosmos flowing through you. And in some cases, if your you becomes too big, you feel disconnected. So that's when you start deconstructing the concept of you, the concept of self, and then you start flowing more and more with your environment around you. You become more flexible, agile. In other words, you adjust better to opportunities and threats, whatever you want to frame them. Okay? So let's go to the second part, practicing mindfulness. As discussed, for me and the books that I read, it starts with becoming more aware of your breath. Your breath is like the oxygen, not only for your body, but also for your soul. What's blood for your heart is oxygen for your soul, or it's breathing for your soul. Nailed that quote in one go. You can do, while breathing, a body scan. You can start with your breath. Where's my breath? I noticed, like in this video, it's a bit higher, so I'm a little bit more stressed. Well, I should let it go, actually. Then you can do a body scan. It's also known as non-sleep deep rest or yoga nidra. In short, it's just you feeling or shaping your focus towards your body. So move from toe all the way up to your head. Also, a third one is observing your thoughts and emotions. We will do an entire section about this later, but in short it means, as discussed before, imagine phase one, like there are three phases. Imagine in phase one that you are witnessing either a highway or a screen or a river or the clouds passing by, and the clouds are being thoughts, or the movie played on the screen are thoughts. Just witnessing them and be aware of opinion boy. So refrain from nouns like good, bad, ugly, and remain passive. Don't move. Okay? Then secondly, when the clouds dry up or the river dries up, so to say, less cars are driving the traffic jam, less and less thoughts will enter when you start monitoring them. Secondly, you will realize that the you who is watching is also a mental concept. So that you is also deconstructed, and what's left in phase 3 is just your breath, your awareness in that particular moment in time. And that's when you are flowing with your energy. So that might require you think that might require you to do separate sessions, but you can do this in everyday life. So I highly recommend figuring out a few tasks, like doing the dishes is often an example, not really relevant nowadays anymore, as we have a dishwasher, so to say. But you can do it walking down the stairs, opening a door, or pinpoint some activities. For me, it's walking to the grocery store. It is sitting in a particular place in the garden. It is also, I have some mental reminders or physical reminders, sometimes written on my hand or in my environment, that trigger me like, hey. And I am building myself up to do this as much as I can. And although at days I'm only doing this for a few minutes in total, I already notice a huge difference. But we will have an entire program that helps you to do this. A high-level overview, of course, well, it helps you, a high-level overview of the benefits. It helps you becoming more aware, which elevates your state of being, which makes you more healthier in body, mind, heart, and soul. So less stress, better emotional regulation, better choices of foods that you take in. So you will start to see that things like alcohol, drugs, and you get a bit of, and sugar, you don't feel like you would need them at that moment. You are so much in balance, you feel so well that you don't need all these things. And I can't find the English words, but it's a bit that you feel a counter move away from them. So that's when you are in your elevated state of being. You feel like these things will bring you back to the beginning of the cycle. So you can start over again. Last minute, 30-day mindfulness plan. I would say establish the foundation. Start with your breath work as first. Also, what skills do you want to become more aware, or what area of life do you become? What activity do you eventually want to do? What's your chopping wood? Then train your breath awareness, so to say, the first week. Then start with the body scan the second week, and the week thereafter observe your emotions and thoughts. And then finally, I would say, bring this all back into exercises in your real life. And you will see it starts elevating your being, so to say. Best done by experiencing it yourself. It's hard for me to explain what music is if you've never heard music. Yeah. So do this, practice mindfulness, let go of things like regrets and worries, identities, memories, and start going down the slope. If you feel like you're not there yet, if you feel like you need to buy a big car or a mansion whatsoever, you're over here. It's very hard to skip from here to here because your pyramid, your foundations, it's best to just take each step by step, so to say. Don't do this, don't rush it. So don't get caught up in this area because you're missing the most beautiful state of being. Being calm and aware and clear in the now. So never forget that the present moment is the only moment that truly exists. It holds the key to understanding yourselves, and it will elevate the state of your being. It is not just a practice of befriending ourselves and our experience. In my opinion, becoming in this state of being is the key to unlock the connection to your authentic core being. So let's not wait, and I will see you in the next video.